Thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you, Sarah and Ben, for putting this together. This is the strangest reading I've done in the strangest of times. And yeah, I'm grateful to be here. I'll just say a few things and then I'll read a couple of poems. And the first thing is that today is or would have been the 27th birthday of Breonna Taylor, who in the US was shot in her bed by police at night in what they have called a clerical error. So I want to uplift her name because it's her birthday today. She would have been 27. Secondly, I want to say to our white viewers, our white embodied viewers, that I think one thing that I keep trying to repeat to my white embodied friends is that this time is not to be seen as the chance to make a donation. This is not a favor. This is not a good deed that one does. This is about becoming human, about whiteness becoming human or humane. And to our allies who are non-Black people of color, who are so important here, I want to say that when there is not an acknowledgement and engagement and a difficult interest and conversation around the idea of anti-Blackness, when that does not happen, a harm is enacted. It is harmful. And to anyone here who is watching who is Black, I want to say what I keep saying to myself every time I step out into the garden. I'm lucky enough to have a garden at this time, but not everyone is. I keep telling myself that the earth is always beneath our feet and that we have to touch the earth as often as possible to be reminded of that with our hands, with our feet, with our body. So the first poem I'm going to read. Can everyone hear me? Can I be heard? Can I get a message that I'm heard? Great, okay. Did anyone hear anything? Great, okay, this is so strange, great, okay, thank you. Right, first poem, teleology. Partly after Inga Christensen. There are dark thoughts and there are dark nights, dark in the shadows under freight trains, and there are dark nights. There is a dark that grows itself, winter dark, and there are dark hours, days. There is dark humor and there is dark light. There is dark that moves, dark matter, boundless and more dark still, lovely, and deep wood dark. There are dark waters, landless, or there once were, and will be again, again, again. There is womb dark, dark moon dark, and there are dark circles, cycles, and so it is, and so it is always. The outset matches the ending, a dark snake with her omega in her mouth, and so it is, always. The dark sings the dusk of its dream time. The dust at the end makes the clay of the start. A dark, malleable work are we, aren't we? There are dark hours, days, and there is dark light, and these are dark thoughts, and these are dark circles, cycles, and still we are awake. My most dear love, we are awake yet, and we will begin again. So the next few poems I'm going to read are poems about this time that we're in relation to the pandemic, which, as we know, is having a very disproportionate effect on who it claims as its victims. And this series was written before we really knew how serious things were. So this is from February, March, before we all retreated to our homes. So it's a series of sonnets, which I should keep writing. And I was thinking about Terence Hayes and his decision to write a sonnet for every single day of the current presidency. So I thought about writing some sonnets about this time. COVID-19 versus Black folk, poem number 1. It never was a virus that came for us, not really. Don't ask me what my mother knows about that. If yours never told you, perhaps we can't be friends. We always were too welcoming a people, or so it said, or should I say, peoples, plural, as the distance between leaf and leaves, the leap between stick figure and tree, what we were before being rolled into singular, brought to the flame and lit for an inhale with no end. Who are your peoples? If we need to know, we'll ask who sent you. If you're suspect, we'll ask where you're really from. If you're safe, we'll bring water on a tray, say, sit down, wash your hands, eat. It never was a virus that killed us, no, not even if it killed en masse. Worse things have happened at sea, or so it goes. And if anyone knows that, we do. COVID-19 versus Black folk, poem number 2. Let me just check how much time I have, okay. Suddenly, all across the land, this Greenland, this Dunya, this Great Britain first, this Brexit means Brexit, so fresh and so green, green and pleasant land. It seems there is no toilet roll, no soap, as if the Moors came and snatched it back, astagfurullah. Shelves as good as new, empty as the day they were built. Meanwhile, in the tinned food aisle, not one can of tomatoes to be found. I guess it's good folks are learning how to cook, though still, it's all a bit mad. A prayer for our elders who only stepped out for fresh air. There's rice at home yet, for the time being. As for toilet paper, that's a different thing. If cleanliness was godliness all along, no Columbus could have made the new world new. If cleanliness was godliness, really, there would be soap in the shops even now. And finally, the last one I'll read in that series has a line from Lucille Clifton, who never goes out of fashion for me, and never should. Won't you celebrate with me? I say to myself all the time. COVID-19 versus Black Folk, poem number 3, with a line from Lucille Clifton. Hug first and remember second. Arms are thrown about backs, fingers gesture towards hair, admiring a careful day's work of braids. Cue laughter as usual, cue knowing smiles. And what is it that we feel beneath all this that gives our meetings their sugared ease? Not denial quite, not humor to evade dissemblance this time. The body keeps a logbook of what happens to it. Bones speak long after the flesh has gone. Often on the train, the one seat that's free is the one that's next to me, and that's just fine. You know, a girl likes a space to place her bag. Maybe social distancing is another way of saying that. Yes. When I walk into a room, I never know what I might do. In this skin, sis, I am a virus too. So that's it from me. And thank you, everyone, for being here. And yeah, it's been a pleasure, and I'm very happy. So thank you.